A former Truist Bank employee was arrested this week after attempting to avoid theft charges by emailing her supervisor that she had died. This is, believe it or bullshit. Arlene Williams, 49, of Chesterfield County, Virginia, stands accused of embezzling nearly $200,000 from the bank where she worked for over a decade. When bank officials demanded she return company property and the missing funds, Williams responded with an email from what appeared to be a family member's account, informing her boss that Arlene Williams had passed away and would therefore be unable to comply with their request. The bank was not convinced. According to court documents filed in Chesterfield County Circuit Court, Williams allegedly transferred funds from customer accounts into her personal accounts over a 2-year period, using her position in the operations department to cover her tracks. When an internal audit finally flagged the discrepancies in July, bank management contacted Williams, who had recently stopped showing up for work. They requested the immediate return of her company laptop and approximately $197,000. The response they received claimed Williams had died suddenly. Bank officials notified law enforcement instead of sending flowers. According to investigators, here's how this scheme unraveled, step by completely predictable step, over the course of 2 years. Williams began her employment at Truist Bank in 2011, working her way into a position that gave her access to customer accounts and internal transfer systems. In 2023, she allegedly began moving money, small amounts at first, a few hundred here, 1,000 there, always from accounts she believed wouldn't notice or wouldn't check their statements carefully. According to the Chesterfield Observer, Williams had convinced herself she'd found a victimless crime, which is remarkable considering the victims were literally bank customers with account statements. By early 2025, Williams had allegedly transferred nearly $200,000 into various personal accounts. She had also stopped being subtle about it. The final transfers were large enough that the bank's automated fraud detection system started sending alerts, which Williams, in her capacity as an operations employee, was supposed to investigate. She did not investigate them. She instead stopped coming to work. When Williams failed to show up for her shifts in June, her supervisor initially assumed she was dealing with a personal emergency. That assumption lasted until the internal audit department finished reviewing the flagged transactions and determined that someone with Williams's access credentials had been systematically looting customer accounts. Management attempted to reach Williams by phone, email, and certified mail. No response. In mid-July, the bank's legal department sent a formal demand letter to Williams's last known address, requesting the immediate return of all company property, including her laptop, and full restitution of the stolen funds. This is when Williams apparently decided that rather than face the consequences, she would simply cease to exist. The response came 3 days later from an email address claiming to belong to Williams's sister. The message was brief and to the point. Arlene Williams had died suddenly and would be unable to return the laptop or the money. No details about the cause of death, no funeral arrangements, no death certificate. Just a polite notification that the bank's theft victim was now unavailable due to being deceased. Truist's legal team forwarded the email to Chesterfield County Police, who confirmed within 24 hours that Arlene Williams was decidedly not dead. She was alive and living at a registered address where officers found her very much breathing when they arrived with an arrest warrant. The laptop was recovered during the search. Most of the $200,000 was not. Williams was charged with embezzlement, felony theft, and fraud. At her arraignment, she pleaded not guilty, which is an interesting position to take when you've sent an email declaring yourself dead to avoid prosecution. Her attorney argued that the email was sent without Williams's knowledge and that someone had stolen her identity to frame her for stealing money, which would make Williams the victim of both identity theft and embezzlement, presumably by herself. The bank has since implemented additional oversight protocols for employees with access to customer accounts, and Williams was released on a $50,000 bond with orders to remain very much alive until her trial date. Prosecutors have indicated they're pursuing maximum sentencing, noting that faking one's own death via email to dodge embezzlement charges suggests a profound lack of remorse, and an even more profound lack of understanding about how death certificates fucking work. In related news tonight, law enforcement across Virginia continues to investigate cases that demonstrate the enduring creativity of criminal thinking paired with the complete absence of forward planning. Our next story involves another incident where someone had multiple opportunities to make a better decision. They made none of them. A Milwaukee warehouse worker was arrested this week after surveillance footage captured her squeezing Gorilla Superglue into a coworker's Coca-Cola. Jennifer Hayes, 38, faces charges of attempted poisoning and reckless endangerment after her colleague, suspicious of repeated stomach issues, installed a hidden camera in the break room and documented Hayes contaminating his beverage while wearing latex gloves. According to prosecutors with the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, Hayes was seen on video approaching the break room refrigerator during her coworker shift, removing his clearly labeled soda and methodically dispensing super glue into the bottle before carefully replacing the cap and returning it to the shelf. When confronted with the footage, Hayes initially denied the charges, then claimed she thought it was a prank, then explained she was trying to teach him a lesson about leaving food in the communal fridge too long. The soda in question had been purchased that morning. According to investigators, here's how this situation developed from workplace tension to felony assault charges. Hayes and the victim, whose name has been withheld, worked different shifts at a packaging facility in Milwaukee's industrial corridor. They had minimal direct interaction but shared the break room refrigerator, which became a point of contention in late February. According to witness statements, Hayes had complained to other coworkers that the victim was taking up too much space in the fridge with his lunch supplies and drinks. The victim, who worked 12-hour shifts and brought multiple beverages to stay hydrated, had labeled all his items with his name and kept them organized on one shelf. Hayes felt this was inconsiderate. The victim first noticed something was wrong on March 3rd when he experienced severe stomach cramping and nausea during his shift. He initially attributed it to food poisoning, but the symptoms recurred over the following weeks, always on days he worked, never on his days off. By mid-March, he had visited urgent care twice and was scheduled for a gastroenterology consultation to rule out ulcers or inflammatory bowel disease. On March 18th, the victim decided to test a theory. He purchased a small wireless camera designed for home security, placed it on top of the break room vending machine with a clear view of the refrigerator, and went about his shift as usual. He also made a point of placing a fresh, unopened bottle of Coca-Cola in the fridge at the start of his shift, with his name written across the label in permanent marker. The camera captured Hayes entering the break room approximately 4 hours into the victim's shift. She was wearing latex gloves, which the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel noted was unusual since her job duties did require protective equipment. Hayes approached the refrigerator, looked around the break room to confirm she was alone, and removed the victim's Coca-Cola. She then produced a tube of Gorilla Superglue from her pocket, the professional-grade adhesive that warns users it bonds skin instantly and requires medical intervention to remove. Hayes opened the soda bottle, squeezed a substantial amount of glue into the bottle, recapped it carefully, shook it to distribute the contents, and returned it to the exact spot on the shelf where she'd found it. The entire process took less than 90 seconds. She disposed of the latex gloves in the break room trash can and left. The victim reviewed the footage that evening and immediately contacted Milwaukee police. Officers obtained a warrant, retrieved the contaminated soda from the break room refrigerator, and had it tested. Lab results confirmed the presence of cyanoacrylate, the chemical compound in superglue, at levels that could cause serious internal damage if ingested. Medical experts consulted by prosecutors indicated that consuming superglue can cause chemical burns to the mouth, throat, and digestive tract, potentially leading to choking, intestinal blockage, or perforated organs. When detectives arrested Hayes at her home on March 20th, they also executed a search warrant and found 3 more tubes of Gorilla Superglue in her kitchen drawer, along with a box of latex gloves matching those seen in the video. During interrogation, Hayes' story changed several times. She first claimed she'd never tampered with anyone's food or drinks. When shown the surveillance footage, she said she thought the bottle was abandoned and she was just playing around. When investigators pointed out the victim's name was clearly visible on the label, Hayes pivoted to claiming she was trying to teach him a lesson about being more considerate with shared fridge space. When asked how poisoning someone teaches consideration, she declined to answer further without an attorney present. The victim has since recovered from his symptoms after weeks of medical treatment. His gastroenterologist confirmed the stomach issues were consistent with repeated low-level exposure to industrial adhesive compounds. The packaging facility has installed additional security cameras throughout the building and implemented a policy requiring employees to report any concerns about shared spaces to management rather than taking fucking action themselves. Hayes is currently free on a $10,000 bond and is prohibited from contacting the victim or entering the warehouse facility. Her trial is scheduled for September. Both stories tonight featured people who chose elaborate criminal schemes over literally any other option available to them. So here's the question. What's the dumbest way you've seen someone escalate a minor workplace annoyance into something that required police intervention? Real stories only. Drop them in the comments. That's Believe It or Bullshit. Subscribe now. Someone somewhere is already planning our next episode.